Test of our meeting today, and first speaker is Mike. Mike is very seasoned Toastmaster. Actually, he is the kind of godfather of this club. He helped organize it and periodically help support it. And today, please listen to Mike. He, as a speaker, can give you lots of hints what to do during speech. He has wealth of experience. So, Mike, please welcome. And Mike's speech is Identity in the Cloud. Who are you really?
Thank you, Alex. Of course, how do I know you're really Alex? Welcome to Tech Masters. My name is Mike Benkovich, and I'm here to talk to you today about a topic that should be near and dear to your heart. In fact, it's one of those topics that a lot of times when we talk about security, it's almost like talking about oral hygiene, tooth flossing. If I can get you to do that, you'll live longer, you'll be happier, people will have more friends. You have more friends, you make more money, which means that you're going to drive a faster car. If you drive a faster car, you'll meet to a better mate, and then everything is all better because you'll make more money. At which point, by making more money, well, then it just kind of goes up from there. Because, although money can't buy you happiness, it sure does make misery easier to live with. So the topic today is identity in the cloud. How do you know identity in the cloud? Is that an important topic to you? Is identity important? I was giving blood not too long ago, and one of the neat things about giving blood, is anyone giving blood? So I'm at about 8 gallons. Anyone more than that? Okay, so I've given out of the order of about 53, 54 times, and in that time, more than once, or at least once, a laptop from this blood donor place was lost. And I'm thinking, identity, is that important? So I go into the place to give blood the next time. I don't know, those of you that have given blood know there's those 40 questions they ask you. Have you ever been to this country? Have you ever had sex in this way? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? I call them the sex questions, right? And the thing is that the nurse always has to read them all the way to the end. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And it's always annoying because it's like she reads them as fast as she can. I'm like, no, yes, no, okay, whatever. And the thing is you get to the end of it, and it's like, okay, well, then they go ahead and they pop the vein, and you drain out a unit of blood and go home. Well, last time, or when I went after this laptop had been lost, I was really curious to see how they were working with identity and how they were keeping track of things. And what I found was that they had really taken privacy very seriously. And they had said, okay, well, instead of having the nurse sitting there asking these questions, because she's going to hear and think, what a creep, we're just going to have the computer with animated and reading the audio of those questions. And so you sit there and they ask questions, and the thing is it's like, okay, have you done this? Have you done that? And instead of, sitting there while I'm doing this, she hands me her laptop and walks out of the room. Now, being somewhat impatient, being somewhat annoying, being somewhat of a geek, first thing I did was I looked at it, I said, okay, first of all, the buttons don't enable until it gets done with the stupid question. So I can't just click. I've got to wait for the actual recording. So while I'm waiting, I right-click on the little start menu. It comes up and says, explore all users. Now, what does that mean if you're in XP? Yes, I'm logged on as an admin. So I'm like, okay, explore all users. I go out and I find where the database is, and I copy it into my thumb drive, which I plug in, and then I go home and I call up the IT department and I say, well, who would you like me to mail your database to? Scary? Yes, but that file was encrypted, right? Yeah, that makes me feel so much better. The thing that got me is that the machine itself had the little Vista sticker on it. This is how far back it is. It's like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It had the Vista sticker on it. And the nice thing about Vista is you can disable a class of devices like thumb drives so that they just don't work. You can plug in your mouse and all the other peripherals, but the thumb drives just don't work. It's very easy to switch off. The laptop with the sticker on Vista was running XP. They downgraded it to an insecure operating system on purpose. So we look at where security is going, and we look at how that is being a topic that's sort of near and dear to my heart. I'm like, why don't you just use the security that's there? Apply the patches, use the technology. But how does that fit into identity? Well, the thing is they needed to know who I was. And so I pulled out I reached in my wallet, and they say, well, who are you? And I pull out my library card. So here I am. Lay that down. Is that good? If you go into a restaurant and you want to order an adult beverage, will they take the library card? Why not?
You can't read it.
Is it a valid ID? Yeah, it's kind of smeared, but is it a valid ID?
Yeah, in the library.
If a library, it is. And that's because it's a valid ID. It came from the library. I mean, I can see that Carver County actually put this together. But does it have the claims that it needs to be able to prove I am who I say I am? No. So if I'm in that facility and I'm ordering the adult beverage, they want to see a claim that says, when was I born? So what do I have to do? Well, I go out and find the doctor that did the delivery, bring him in, have him vouch for me. Yeah, I was there. No, I can pull out my driver's license, right? And if I'm in Minnesota, I can use my Minnesota driver's license. And if I go to Wisconsin, I pull out my Wisconsin driver's license. How many people have more than one driver's license? Are you supposed to? Yeah. Well, the thing is there are different trusted providers of identity. And the thing that's about identity that's important is that you have a way of going out and using someone else's identity. So when I go out and I want to build an application that is going to use identity, my application, I'm going to build out a timer application for Toastmasters, so you can go out and recapture all this stuff. It's going to be Windows 8, it's going to be better, it's going to be cool. But the thing is, I have to use identity from somewhere. Should I go out and create my own database of usernames and passwords? What's the danger of that? Someone walks in with a thumb drive, copies it on, and walks off with it. Somehow an exploit happens, and they get a copy of my user and password database. Has anyone used the same password on more than one account? Yeah, and so if they exploit it, and somewhere, somehow, they're successful, now they have this list of passwords that are likely to work with some given user credentials, so all they need to do is just create that massive database in the cloud to figure out, whatever. So rather than using someone else's, or creating my own identity pool and being liable for all of that, identity in the cloud allows me to go out and use existing identity, to go out those existing providers of identities, to be able to use, like, for instance, when you go through the airport, I can use my Visa, I can use a passport, I can use, well, not a Visa, I can use my passport, I can use a driver's license, I can use some secure type of identity. And the airport security is constantly updating what types of security they'll take. So what the cloud allows me to do is to integrate and use other types of identity. So today in my webcast, which is going to happen this afternoon at 1 o'clock, it's Benkovich, it's on the Soup to Nuts Cloud Computing webcast series. I'm going to talk about how you can use access control services, which is part of Windows Azure, to do that identity conversation for you. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how you can configure it, set it up, and have Google, Yahoo, Facebook, LiveID, all of these different identity providers work for your application and be able to do that secure conversation. And the beautiful thing about this is it doesn't work just on web applications, it doesn't work just on Windows, it runs on devices, it runs on iPhone, it runs on Android, it runs across the spectrum of types of devices because it's based on what's called a HTTP, or a regular web request that will run on any kind of a device. So they're low level, it's very comparable, it works in a lot of different scenarios, and it makes it easy for us to go out and answer that question. Who are you? Really? Thank you.